Welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, I'm Erin from the Bookish Craft House. We're a small bookish shop located in Ontario, Canada. We sell things like magnetic bookmarks, keychains, cozy mugs, stickers, e-reader accessories, personalized items, and crochet reading buddies. I started this channel as an outlet to share my thoughts, my tips, and my tricks for various crochet patterns as I entered the world of crochet. I started in the world of amigurumi and recently started branching out to more blankets and wearables, but I've really struggled when I'm researching new patterns to find in-depth reviews, which led me to creating this channel. If this sounds like something you'd be interested in, make sure to like and subscribe. We release new videos at least once a week. And if you have any patterns you would like reviewed, comment below. So we're here today with a follow-up video to the MJOffTheHook Granny Square Cardigan Crop Sweater. I previously posted a video reviewing this pattern that made this adorable sweater that you guys see here. And when I did my review, I was not fully finished with the pattern. So I thought I would come back on and quickly check in to give my final thoughts on this pattern and just show you guys how it worked up. So the last that you guys heard on this pattern, I still had some of the ribbing on the neckline. Just zoom in here. So last you guys heard, I still had the ribbing here on the neckline to complete. And then as well, I also had the cuffs on both the sleeves to complete. Since then, I have finished both. I've actually finished the entire sweater, including sewing on these beautiful black buttons that we have. For my final thoughts, nothing much has really changed from my previous review. I still loved this pattern. I'm so shocked with how fast the ribbing worked up. As you can see, there's a lot of ribbing on this sweater. You have the ribbing along the bottom here. And you have the ribbing that goes around the entire outside. And then you also have the ribbing on the end of the sleeves. That worked up so much faster than I expected. It really helped me get this project done faster because, as I mentioned in my previous review, 64 granny squares was a lot. So it was nice to know after I had worked up the 64 squares, sewed them all together, that the ribbing was kind of the last step, and it was actually probably the easiest. The thing I do want to caution that I forgot to mention in my last video was that the sweater before the ribbing is added looks incredibly small. I wanted to give that caution to anyone who's working on this project. It looked to me like a child sweater. I thought there's no way that this sweater is going to fit me. But once you add the ribbing, you can see it's pretty substantial. I believe it's about 3 to 4 inches. So the sweater drastically grows in size and really changes the look. So just a caution, if it looks too small, make sure when you put it on that you're actually measuring out the ribbing along the edges, and you'll see that there's a substantial amount of the sweater still missing at that point. Now, once the sweater was done, I did try and wear it that day because I was so excited. And one thing I noticed is that it felt very stiff. It felt like it was kind of stuck in its place. It didn't drape nicely. It was very kind of bulky feeling. And I didn't like that. The pattern does call for the item to be steam blocked. And at that point, I did not have a steamer, as this is my first garment that I've ever made. So I quickly ordered a steamer thinking, okay, I'm feeling this way because the item needs to be steamed, and it is made with 100% acrylic yarn. So I knew that the steaming would make a big difference. I received my steamer the next day. Thank you, Amazon. And once I steamed the sweater, what a difference. It feels so much softer. It drapes so much nicer. It feels so much more comfortable, less bulky and clunky, and really feels more soft. I was also able to adjust the sizing and the fitting of the sweater with the steamer. So I was noticing the sleeves were a little bit short for my liking. I typically like a longer sleeve, and I would have liked a couple, maybe 1 or 2 extra centimeters, nothing major, but with this steamer, I was able to pull out the length and adjust that sleeve size. I was also able to pull out the sweater in general. Like I said, this is a crop sweater, and I did have the choice when I was working on the body to add another row of granny squares at the bottom to make it longer, but I didn't want to add that much length. So with the steamer, I was able to pull down the length by about 1/2 inch, which isn't a lot, but it was enough to just bring it to that that level that I really wanted, to that place where I really wanted the sweater to sit. I haven't washed the sweater yet, but it is made with 100% acrylic yarn. It's the Loops and Threads Impeccable yarn. And it does have instructions that it can machine wash cold. So I will be washing it on a delicate cycle in cold water, and I will be hanging it to dry. I think I'm going to keep this out of the dryer. There's just too much tumbling with all the weaved in ends from the granny squares. And I just want this sweater to last as long as possible. I think it's so beautiful. And knowing the labor that I put into this, the love that I put into this, I want the sweater to last me as long as it possibly can. This is my first wearable, so I don't have a lot of comparisons to other garments, other wearables. I can compare to blankets or hats, but really as a sweater, this is my first sweater that I think it was a great introduction piece to anyone new to crocheting wearables, because it's not worked up in panels like a typical garment. It did have a feel as if I was almost making a granny square blanket, which I have made before. And it really helped to introduce me to crochet wearables and garment making, which I really liked. I already started spending time on MJOffTheHook's blog, looking at her other patterns, seeing what other free patterns she has on her blog that are available, and seeing what catches my eye to make next. I will say I did buy this pattern from her Etsy shop. I believe it was about 50% off. I think it was around $10 Canadian. So nothing crazy, but the main difference between the blog version and the paid version is the paid version came with the layout, the square layout for the granny squares. It showed how to lay them out and sew them together. And since this was my first garment, I thought that would be helpful. Now that I've created this and knowing what I know, I'm not sure if I necessarily needed to buy it. I think I could have figured it out on my own, but there was definitely a level of comfort knowing that I had that chart to help me, to help guide me. So I'd say if you're more of an intermediate crocheter, the free version on her blog is probably good enough. But if you're new to crochet, or at least new to wearables when it comes to crochet, the paid version might be a little more helpful if it's in your budget. If you're thinking of making this pattern, or you already have, I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to hear your thoughts or see some pictures of what your sweater looks like, what colors you used, what buttons you used, and hear all about your experience making this granny square cardigan. Feel free to comment below. I'd love to hear from you guys, or follow me over on Instagram at the Bookish Craft House. I'd love to see some pictures from you guys and hear your thoughts, and overall just discuss this pattern. As well, if you guys have any other pattern suggestions for wearables, or even blankets, amigurumi, anything really crochet, feel free to throw it in the comment section below. Love to hear from you guys. Well, that's it for our granny square cardigan. Like I said, so happy with how this product turned out. Super excited for my next wearable project and what I'm going to make with that. Thank you so much for sticking around to the end of my video. If you like this content, please make sure to like and subscribe. We release new videos once a week. See you guys in my next video.